Hey, hey. I'm not really here.
What you think about when you're born into a fire? Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. They wanna let the world decay.
I'm remote viewing here.
They tell us lies and fade away, fade away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. Listen up now, because we're never dropping out. Beat the odds, beat the big house. The brains are bigger than the doubt. We've been thinking for ourselves, never let the truth fade away. This is bigger than ourselves, we won't let the world burn away. Burn away, we feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. To blame, haters face the world's mistakes. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway.
Her teeth are fine. She there was an appointment she was supposed to go to for a second fitting. I mean, they haven't been bothering her, but she had to reschedule it. And then I think the doctor had to reschedule it, so we're still waiting on that second appointment or whatever. But it'd be a big deal if they were bothering her or didn't fit right or whatever. But they seem fine right now.
To lose the race.
And I paid for it all up front, so I don't think we can just go whenever and get her other set custom fit. I'm Bo Sweeney. I won a lottery. This is winning with DOGE. Yes. That's how bad it looks at winning with DOGE, dude.
Hey Daddies, it's me, the Linda Binda from TikTok. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to thank you for watching Cold Beer Confessionals with Will Bird. I think that's just incredible. I've watched a few episodes and I'm just like very intrigued. But you know what I'm most intrigued in is Big Daddy's meat stick. I heard that it's very thick, like a good old German sausage. You know, Linda and her coochie loves that. Oh, never mind. Let's not go there. Anyways, I hope you have a good show and enjoy it as you can. There's a lot of weird things that go on, especially when it comes from the realm of Linda Bindaland. So, enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Welcome everybody. I'm Will Bird. This is the Cold Beer Confessional. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm your host for the whole show, and thank you guys for joining us. I got this red spot on my nose. It's a bump I couldn't leave alone, so you're gonna see that through the night. I'm not gonna try to ignore it. There you go. I guess the question I would lead off with, I've been trying to explain to people on Facebook for 2 goddamn days now. I don't have anything against auditing the government, but why wouldn't you bring in auditors, right? Imagine you're going in for a heart transplant, and they're like, oh, sweet, you're doing a heart transplant? And you're like, yeah, I'm ready to check in. They're like, the surgeon's not going to be here. And you're like, okay. But don't worry, we've got Major League Hall of Famer Sammy Sosa. Does that make you fucking feel better about it? Right? Does that make you feel better about your heart surgery? Of course not. That's retarded, right? They didn't bring any auditors in. They didn't bring any forensic analysts in. They brought computer programmers in and Elon Musk. Not to mention, let's say you have this like prestigious job you're hiring for, okay? And you're taking resumes, and I submit a resume, and you're reading across the resume, and you go down to a line that just, in my resume, in my work experience, that sounds unbelievable. Like, I was the first astronaut cowboy to ever orbit Jupiter. And you're like, that sounds pretty unbelievable. So you look it up, and it's a lie, right? And then you go to the next piece of work history, and it's a lie. And you go to the piece of the next work history, and it's a lie. How long are you going to continue reading that resume? How long are you going to keep considering me for the position? Are you just going to keep digging until you find something true and then be like, oh, well, see, he didn't lie? I led off with 15 lies. Are you going to finally get down to there where it says I worked at McDonald's for 6 months and be like, well, he seems like an honest guy? If they're finding all of this fraud and abuse, they would be leading. All of their tweets would be about actual fraud and actual abuse, right? Their biggest claims, their most spectacular claims, which everybody reads and shares and retweets, wouldn't be outright lies. And I know they need traction, right? They're like, the one thing I think they can't let happen is people question their mission, question, like, is there really this much fraud going on, or start to doubt them, because they're tweeting from the Festivus reports, which we've been through a bunch of times. And one of those Festivus reports was about, I'll just show you. Hold on. We'll keep that open for a second. Let's go to this original tweet. The Department of Government Efficiency. This is their official Twitter account, and it says how the U.S. government spent your tax dollars in 2024. So just last year, right? This isn't Elon Musk doing, but this is his account putting this out. Okay? This is his account putting this out. And it says, this is from the Festivus report that everybody goes back to, like, haven't you seen that they put shrimp on treadmills and give steroids to hamsters? You know what I'm saying? Like that stupid report that has no nuance to it. It has the most ridiculous takes. When they read a line, they think, how can we spin this to where it sounds so fucking ridiculous? And one of those says $7 million on various projects studying magic. That is a wild claim. That is a wild claim that the government is spending $7 million a year studying, like, does it exist or is it real? Can people do real magic? Is there, like, magic dust or powder or wands? Like, how does this can people cast spells? A fireball like D&D? What we got going on? That is a wild claim to come out, right? This is almost as wild as saying, like, they spent $7 million to study, like, if the sky is blue. $7 million on various projects studying magic. So I thought, you know what, I'll tackle this one. I've seen a bunch of people on my personal Facebook, because I live in fucking MAGA hell, retweeting this and screenshots of it or whatever, be like, haha, they're studying magic. I've seen other people that are like Q-tards that are like, I told you the government's into satanic rituals and black magic, and look, they've been studying it. It's all real. And Trump was sent from God to expose it. So I was like, let me look into this. What is this? I had the Gov spending, but I think I closed that tab. I can grab it, though. Hold on. History. Okay, here it is. That's the core, sam.gov. So apparently I've been saying this wrong. If you see my TikTok, you've already heard about it. But it's apparently pronounced Minot, North Dakota. And there's a military base there. So this is the contract they're talking about. This is the contract they're talking about when they say that. And it's from the Department of Defense, which immediately I was like, why was the Department of Defense, you know, they got a base there, but why were they studying magic? And it's for the city of Minot, 512 2nd Avenue Southwest, Minot, North Dakota, Congressional District ND00. And then it says Community Investment Program. Community Investment Program. Now, it's completed. First of all, it's for 2022, not 2024. And it's for $7.7 million in non-federal funding for a total of $14 million. So what does this say? It says outlaid amount. That's the amount they sent out. Obligated amount was for $6,293. $6,293,000. Non-federal funding, which they raised through donations and other ways, was for $7.6 million for a total of about $14 million. $13,977,964. So why would they be doing this? And then right here in the description, as easy as anybody in the world could find it, it says Minot Magic City Discovery Center. So literally, someone looked at this and said it has the word magic in it. So what we're going to do is say that we spent $7 million studying magic. This isn't an accident. This isn't a typo. This is maliciously representing. We haven't even figured out what Minot Magic City Discovery Center is, but this is maliciously representing what this is, whatever it might be. It doesn't say to study magic. It doesn't say that, right? It does have the word magic in it, and it does have the word discovery in it. So they're thinking, what is the worst possible way I could spin this? So if you look a little bit deeper, it's a STEM center, all right? science, technology, engineering, and math. It is a STEM center for kids. And they do a lot of things with this STEM center, right? They have classes, like weekly classes. They have like an after-school program. They do a lot of things. We have something like this called Hands-On Museum that we took Ollie to for his birthday, right? But this one seems a lot nicer. It's a lot newer. It's a lot better funded, okay? They even do like stuff with children with disabilities and like processing disorders where they can do this, they can do that. There's a lot of stuff here, okay? And it is a community center for children. But even if you're like, we can't afford to help these kids, well, I bet their parents are probably rich and they just don't want to pay for it, or I bet their parents are illegal immigrants, or I bet their parents are trans. Even more so, the reason the grant came from the DOD was because the kids that this will serve is almost all active duty service members' children. So from the local Air Force base, the DOD looked at their Air Force bases, or all their bases, right? They looked at all their bases, and they said, where are we lacking on education-wise, right? And they picked out several areas, and they put out grants and said, hey, if you want to do something that has to do with education of our service members' kids, we'd like to do a grant to help work with that, right? And Minot won. This is for literally people that are serving our country so their kids have a better opportunity for education. On August 10th, 2020, the Secretary of Defense instructed the Office of Economic Adjustment to invite organizations to submit grant applications and proposals based upon their ranking by the Defense Community Infrastructure Pilot Program Review Panel. The DCIP offers grants and supplemental funds to eliminate deficiencies. This wasn't just like, hey, I think it'd be cool if like this had like a multi-million-dollar play area for kids because fuck taxes. They literally were looking specifically at areas that had deficiencies in community infrastructure that support military installations and enhance the quality of life for military families, resiliency, and military value. This area had an educational deficiency. No one wants to serve on a base where your kid has a shitty school. Now, the DOD can't go in and fucking take over the school, right? They can't go in to take over the school, hire teachers or whatever. They can supplement your kid's education, right? They can help supplement your kid's education. Here in the city of Minot, a grant proposal was submitted and accepted in addition to locally raised funds, which they raised over half of it themselves, from various organizations and contributors. The grant funds will be used to construct the Magic City Discovery Center, MCDC. The center was one of 16 projects chosen to receive a grant from the DCIP. The MCDC will offer a year-round learning and recreational center for all families living in the city of Minot and Minot Air Force Base. The center will have exhibits and programs that offer high-quality educational experiences in the principles of science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. The programs will seek to encourage curiosity in children ranging from birth to 14 years old. Additionally, the exhibits and programs will offer the opportunity for parent involvement to enhance family life. The MCDC will offer a place where families can engage in indoor activities to stimulate young minds throughout the year, even through the winter months. We are thrilled about the DCIP grant award and what this means for our military families and entire region, said Wendy Keller, the executive director of Magic City Discovery Center. All families coming to Minot Air Force Base and those already residing here experience the challenge of living in harsh climatic conditions. The severe winters make it difficult for families to enjoy outdoors. Having the MCDC will offer safe haven for military families to gather and build friendships while the children learn and explore. During the cold weather, military families can grow support systems to stay strong and resilient together. Located on North Hill in the city of Minot, the MCDC will offer a variety of exciting exhibits for all families. The Magic Climber, a 32-foot high structure, will incorporate many different aspects of North Dakota, from prairie dog burrows to an oil derrick and train trestle, all building up to a wireframe B-52. An exhibit called Air Forces will be a place where children can explore the principles of aerodynamics and learn about the power of air and wind, highlighting the bond between the U.S. Air Force and the Minot community. Guests will also see other fun and exciting exhibits like Pattern Place, Outside My Window, Water Flow, Spark Lab, Invention Center. Children and their parents can explore aspects of mathematics, the natural world, the power of water, and engage in problem-solving activities to address real-world issues. And even when I pointed this one out, someone came along and responded to another comment. Didn't respond to me. Responded to a comment that was left about how do we know what's true and what's not. So responded to another comment and said this. Even if it was, we can't afford. We had to borrow $2 trillion this year from our children to pay the bills. It's time to make a hard choice to keep the country from going bankrupt. Sorry, but our parents ran up the credit cards. And if that's your stance, fine. Fine. Fuck those kids. Fuck those service members. Fuck their education. But why not say it? Why not say it? Why not say this $7 million that we cut or that we think is waste and abuse goes to children of active duty service members for STEM education? Why frame it as the government was researching magic? At least fucking own it, right? At least come out and say, fuck those kids, right? Like, what the fuck? They don't want to own it. They know how bad it looks, right? They know how shitty it is. Instead, they'll label it anything else they can. Anything else they can. To make sure that it sounds good. That's fucked up, dude. At least own it. At least say it. At least do something. It's just fucked up. We can't afford it, fine. Then put a label on it and saying we're cutting this, or we think we should cut these education benefits that go to active duty service members' kids. The same way they're all struggling now to run out and say that there were no cuts to the VA for this, this, and this, but there were. There literally were. There's another one about there's another one about that we paid so many $1 million to put Sesame Street in Iraq. Okay? Sesame Street in Iraq. First of all, we always do like these reconciliation projects, right? We just bomb the fuck out of your country. We probably don't want another generation of terrorists. But you know, it's all from a mistranslation. So the word that they're using for like a puppet show, the word they're using for show, like a production, right, is actually the entire program. Like we spent that money on the entire program for education systems, blah, 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 and it also had a childhood show. Like everything they put out has a lie baked into it. And people are arguing like, well, they're probably not all lies. Then why lead with the lies, dude? The first thing you should come out with is something so fucking egregious that even a skeptic would be like, I can't believe you're spending money on this. I've seen enough. Get rid of it. Wouldn't that make more sense? Like, people are arguing with me when I made a post about, I said, was the Veterans Suicide Hotline staff waste, or was it fraud, or was it abuse? And they're like, oh, well, Google says it wasn't affected. Well, it was, right? It wasn't the intentional effect. They didn't intentionally go out and say, we're cutting from the Veterans Crisis Hotline, right? That wasn't their intentional effect, but it still happened. Then they went and scrambled to hire these people back because it looks so fucking bad. And that's the argument here. I try to have an argument. The same guy that's like, oh, Google says they didn't get fired. I try to have the same argument with this guy. And I'm like, hey, imagine you need a tumor removed, right? You have cancer. You need a tumor removed. And I could use a scalpel, but instead, I'm going to use a chainsaw and a baseball bat. And I claim I removed the tumor. When actually I removed your heart and lungs. And I show them to your family, and I was like, here's a tumor. And your family's like, that's not a tumor. I show it to other doctors and say, remove the tumor. And they're like, that's not a tumor. I show it to the, we do research on it, what a tumor should look like, and the research shows that's not a tumor. But then I just keep saying, yeah, that's the tumor. Or maybe I panic and try to throw it back in. Be like, oh, yeah, that was a tumor, but we're going to put it back in anyways. Is that the best tool for the job? The reason these people got fired, I don't want people to think they shut down the entire hotline. It was staff from the hotline, but the reason these people got fired is because they put out a blanket statement of anybody on their probationary period is just fucking fired. So even though they didn't want to touch medical staff, they didn't want to touch hotline staff, they didn't want to touch this staff, that doesn't work when you say anybody on their probationary period is fired. Let's see. The VA, the guy that's head of the VA is like, that's an absolute lie. But of course it's happening. This is from Senator Warnock. You have repeatedly claimed these massive arbitrary staff terminations done without advanced consultation with service-level leadership or advisement from experienced senior leaders trained to manage VA's healthcare and benefits and memorial workforce will not negatively impact VA healthcare benefits or beneficiaries. However, we have heard directly from VA employees and veterans across the country that is absolutely not the case. In fact, we have been made aware of numerous detrimental developments as a direct result of actions of this administration. Openings for new clinics have been delayed because VA cannot hire necessary staff to open their doors. Service lines at VA hospitals and clinics have been halted. Beds and operating rooms at VA facilities have been suspended. Support lines for caregivers have been reduced. Veteran crisis line employees have been fired, and suicide prevention training sessions have been postponed or canceled. And we have people that are coming forward off the record and showing senators proof, like, I worked at the crisis hotline, I got fired, now they're trying to rehire me, but I still can't access the computer. Military.com. An unknown number of Department of Veterans Affairs employees at the department's suicide crisis line and workers who manned the phones and completed administrative tasks for vet centers were among those fired last week in the purge of federal government. And they're claiming, we didn't mean to do this. We didn't mean to fire those people. It doesn't. Then stop bringing a fucking sledgehammer to review data. More than 2% of the VA's probationary workforce was dismissed effective immediately last week, with VA officials saying they were not mission-critical positions. Let me log in. Hold on. Maybe the thing's frozen. Oh, how do I fucking log in then? Jesus Christ. I have to create a whole new account. Come on. I'd use Bardeen to bypass the fucking paywall to get the rest of the story. The other day, my browser updated and it logged me out of fucking everything that I usually stay logged into. I don't know. It is what it is, I guess. Where's the paywall tool? Okay. We'll get there eventually, chat. All right. So they were not mission critical. But according to media reports, congressional lawmakers and union officials, several were employees of the Veterans Crisis Hotline, which provides support and services to suicidal veterans. At least 2 crisis line employees who were fired were told Wednesday they would be reinstated, according to Senator Tammy Duckworth, a Democrat from Illinois, who intervened on their behalf. But they had not been given access to their work accounts as of Wednesday afternoon. She added, these folks, because they had a vital job function, should never have been laid off in the first place, Duckworth said in a call with reporters Wednesday. One hotline worker, whose name was redacted in a widely circulated social media post that has been authenticated by military.com, said she had worked for the federal government for 9 years before going to work at the crisis line. The employee, who also serves in the Air National Guard, was 12 days away from the end of her 1-year probationary period when she was fired. I'm absolutely devastated. Nobody, not even leadership, had any idea this was coming, she wrote. And then people want to fucking argue that obviously the chainsaw is not the best weapon to be using here. If they would have brought in auditors, if they would have brought in people, if they would have brought in forensic auditors, they'd have brought people in that are trained in like how people hide money, how they build contracts the wrong way, or build in like a kickback or whatever. I just had one guy say, I can guarantee you that STEM center had a kickback in it. It was one of these deals with a kickback to somebody. How can you guarantee that? Up until I told you, you didn't even know it existed. Up until you saw my post and hopped in my comments, you didn't even know this was a thing. But 3 minutes later, you're like, I can guarantee you this had a kickback in it. When we're talking about the IRS, right? Bill Clinton fired workers after a bipartisan study was conducted by all of Congress to say, hey, we can reduce the workforce and save money if we take these steps to combine these organizations. It wasn't one man fucking doing it. I know that's their new talking point. It's not true. He had the full backing of bipartisan Congress. So, no, still not true. When we're talking about the IRS and the agents they got rid of, depending on where you look, the IRS, for every dollar we put into it, we get $10 back on average. The lowest average I've seen, the lowest estimate is $5. The highest estimate I've seen is like $14, $15. Okay? $14 or $15. For every dollar we put in, we get somewhere between $5 and $15. Average out to about $10. Okay? So why would we be cutting IRS agents? Listen, we're in this deal where we can't afford to pay for things, right? The deficit has gotten out of hand. It's just getting it's uncontrollable. Why would we fire the people who bring in our money? Why would we fire the people who find that money when people are cheating their taxes and they make money? For every $1 even if you hate the government, you hate the IRS, you hate fucking Joe Biden, trans DEI, blue-haired lesbians who are beating up white Christian athletes, would you not trade $1 for $5? God, you're so fucking mentally handicapped. We're getting rid of the IRS. Wait and see. Who stands to benefit? Okay, so we've established that the IRS makes money for the government, and that's what we need, is to reduce expenses and make more money. Right? We're upside down. We need to fix the deficit. The IRS makes money. Who stands to benefit by getting rid of it? Is it us when we're claiming, $50,000, $100,000, $150,000, $200,000 in income? Is that who's going to benefit from it? I think she was starved of oxygen at birth or something. She's like legitimately retarded. Is it me when I get $200? When I get $200 back on my IRS fucking, I pay extra in, so I get fucking a couple $100 back when I file taxes? Or is it billionaires that literally have teams of lawyers and accountants to figure out how to play the system, cheat the system, not pay their fair share, will literally do anything to reduce their tax bill? In fact, that higher number, it seems like, from studies that have been done, when there's more employees at the IRS, we get more audits. We get more audits on the rich and wealthy because the rich typically have more complicated cases that take more manpower. And when they're limited, they don't have as many agents. We get, these are percentage wise, we get more audits on the middle class and lower, because they don't have the time to do the more complicated cases. They look at easier cases, honestly, cases that they can actually work, that they get time to get to work. So when we have more agents and we audit the wealthy more often, that's when you get that for every $1 you put in, you make like $14. When you audit the middle class and lower class, it's usually like 1 to 5, 1 to 3. Why would you not use the ability to make more money? This is the same thing as the same argument as the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, CFPB. They were literally financed by banks. So the banks had to pay for them to operate. And they return money. They return money back to consumers who have been cheated. So we're not paying taxes to fund it. They're not fucking off with the money. They're returning it to people who have been cheated and scammed. What's the point of shutting it down? I don't know if I need to say it slower if you're just not getting it. The government studies this. For every dollar that we invest in the IRS, into the IRS workforce, when they do their job, we get on average 10 back. It's literally 10 to 1. I'm not saying that would continue forever if we hired 1 billion of them. I'm not saying we're going to make $10 billion, but at current rates, for every dollar we put in the workforce, we get 10 back. So why cut those people? That's true. You're supposed to end up perfect, right? But I'm always so scared of my tax bill and doing something wrong or forgetting about something or something. I always pay an extra. I actually pay in at a single payer rate with no deductions. I'm sorry. Yeah, with a single and zero, right? No deductions for my kids. So I pay an extra, and then I don't have to worry. I'm always either in the positive or right around breaking even or a little bit negative. But I'm not getting like a fucking $10,000 tax bill at the end of the year, which would fuck us up. It's almost like they got rid of the people who actually investigate this stuff and then just stuck in people that they want to get rid of stuff for them, that they want to hinder, that they want their buddies. It's a fucking wish list for Elon and his buddies, right? When there's less employees at the IRS, when they're understaffed, they literally audit the wealthy less. They're complicated cases that require more manpower, more people, more boots on the ground. When they're understaffed, they audit you more as a percentage. I'm not saying they open more cases, but as a percentage, it's more of us, less of the billionaires. When they're fully staffed, they audit billionaires more. That's how we get those higher numbers. They're not going to find a case on me that I cheated them out of $50,000 last year. But it's nothing for them to find a case on someone who is making billions that they cheated them out of fucking $100,000 last year. I don't know. It's just crazy. And people are just, because Trump supporters don't care if they suffer, as long as someone they don't like is also suffering and they can point to them and say, that person's suffering, right? They don't care the groceries more expensive, that the fucking, they're losing programs, they're losing this, they're losing that, can't afford this, can't help those. Some of these people that I was arguing with earlier were in the military with me. And I'm like, it's active duty military kids trying to further their education. They don't care as long as somebody they don't like. I can point over there and say, that person's suffering. You're so fucking dumb. You pay the tariff. You, Julie, you pay the tariff. You pay it. Who do you think pays it? Anyways, as long as they can see someone else suffer, right? And they don't need to verify anything. If Elon Musk says we saved $10 million by not studying Harry Potter wands, then we saved $10 million by not studying Harry Potter wands. But when you get down to it, a lot of these contracts are already completed. A lot of these contracts have already taken care of. A lot of these contracts are not what they said or not for the amount they said. A lot of them have already been paid out. So that even the numbers they're suggesting are way, 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 way the fuck off. Bill Clinton did do a gigantic cut. And Elon Musk, the only reason that any of these people know that Bill Clinton did a workforce cut is because Elon Musk was tweeting about it. That's the only reason they know, right? They didn't look it up. They didn't find it. You pay the tariff. This is how retarded these people are. No, I don't. The tariffs to other countries, we will charge them the same tariffs they charge us. You pay the tariff. If China sends something and you want to put a tariff on it, they just send it. They don't pay a fucking dime. When it gets here at the port, when it comes in, the port authority says that's from China. That has a tariff on it. The person who ordered it, whether that's you or a business here, pays that tariff. If it's you, you just pay the tariff. If it's a business here, they say, okay, we were going to sell this thing for $10, but now there's a tariff on it. We're going to sell it for $13. Then you buy it at the store and you paid that tariff. Countries don't pay tariffs. How would you enforce it? How the fuck would you enforce it? It can't get enforced till it comes here to a port of entry and customs checks it out. The end user, whoever's buying it, pays the tariff. Oh, wait, we're moving the goalpost, everybody. We won't be buying outside the U.S. We don't need their shit. We don't make hardly anything here. We couldn't possibly make everything in the world here. And if we're not buying outside the U.S., how are the tariffs replacing the tax revenue? Let's say your plan is true. We won't buy nothing outside the U.S. Okay, well then I thought that was to replace the taxes. So now there's no taxes? And we're not replacing it? So how do tariffs work? No more taxes for the people, just a one-time tax, and the U.S. will recover the lost tax money by tariffs to other countries. Okay. But now we're not buying anything outside the U.S. I hope that your genetic line is scorched off the face of the earth. That's how fucking dumb you are. If we take away all these taxes, let's say we take away $1 million worth of taxes and we're not paying them anymore. And tariffs don't work because we're not doing tariffs anymore. Okay? That we're not buying from other countries, right? $1 million in taxes. Now we got to put that into a one-time tax. How much money do we still need to pay? $1 million fucking dollars. So all you did was take end of the year tax and move it to one-time tax, but you still pay the same amount? It's so fucking stupid. Your taxes would go exponentially up. You wouldn't be able to stop it. So if we have to replace all the tax revenue on a one-time tax, and we're not getting any money from tariffs because we don't buy from foreign countries, we'll make it all right here. To cover that, the fucking sales tax or the one-time tax would be fucking 150%. It's just like showing up into a chat and announcing you don't know how the world works. You don't know how taxes work. You don't know how revenue works. She sure as hell didn't know how tariffs work. When I was like, you pay the tariff. Well, then we won't buy anything from overseas. But I thought tariffs were going to replace everything. You've moved the goalpost 4 times. You don't know how any of this works. You're repeating a Twitter account. But Trump said he loved the farmers. All right, let's watch this. I didn't get to this video the other night. This is the short version of the insider trading. I don't think we got to see it. Or maybe we did. Did we watch this video the other night? I don't know. We're watching it again.
Argentina launched a meme coin through their president, Javier Milei, or at least...
Oh, yeah, I think we did watch
that's
it.
what people
That's okay.
thought. Now there are currently accusations of scams, insider trading, and the president of Argentina may be charged with fraud and face...
It was the long one we didn't watch. You guys are right. That's fine. That's the Elon Musk one. I got one for you. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba. So, Tony's out of jail. I saw that. He did a live stream. He's out of jail now, so. I guess what I really want to cover is some text messages. By the way, I got people like this liking my comment thinking that I'm agreeing with them. So this was on West Virginia getting rid of junk food and soda from their SNAP benefits. And this person says, no more fudge rounds. Oliver Anthony is making a difference. And I said, yeah, eat celery, poor kids. That'll teach them to be poor. And then he come and liked my comment. And since then, he's responded back. You guys want to hear his response? It'll damn sure make them healthier and teach them to get a job if they want better or different things. We're talking about kids on food stamps. They don't care. They don't have empathy as long as it's somebody they think they don't like that's suffering. Now, if that was his cousin's kid or whatever, be raising hell. But they imagine some illegal trans DEI lesbian, adopted, and a legal immigrant anchor baby, and they're on food stamps. I don't know. It's crazy. Anyways.
The NCAA.
Trump has a back and forth to the governor of Maine here.
The NCAA has complied immediately, by the way. That's good. But I understand Maine is...
Nope. No one's ever made an argument that tariffs don't work. Limited, precision, specialized tariffs are what they're supposed to be used for. You're fucking retarded if you think all imports and exports tariff works. It doesn't. You use them to protect an industry, use them to protect a community, you use them to get some type of result like sanctioning, use them to protect the infrastructure. You don't do blanket tariffs. Blanket tariffs are fucking retarded.
The NCAA has complied immediately, by the way, that's good. But I understand Maine, is Maine here, the governor of Maine?
Yeah, I'm here.
Are you not going to comply with it?
I'm complying with state and federal laws.
We are the federal law. Well, you better do it. You better do it because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. And by the way, your population, even though it's somewhat liberal, although I did very well.
Chat, have I ever said anything different besides specialized tariffs? There's no all something is bad. Trump's suggestion is tariffs on everything to everybody. The commenter on Facebook thinks that tariffs for everything on everybody.
The NCAA has complied immediately, by the way, that's good. But I understand Maine, is Maine here, the governor of Maine?
Yeah, I'm here.
Are you not going to comply with it?
I'm complying with state and federal laws.
We are the federal law. Well, you better do it. You better do it because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. And by the way,
That's literally his suggestion. That's literally his suggestion. Tariffs on everything. That's his suggestion, is tariffs on everything. That's what he's proposed. Tariffs on everything. That's what he tried to implement on Mexico and Canada. Tariffs on everything. We use tariffs sometimes to protect our steel industry. We use tariffs sometimes to protect our coal industry. We use tariffs sometimes to protect oil and gas. His plan is tariffs on everything.
the NCAA has complied immediately, by the way, that's good. But I understand Maine, is Maine here, the governor of Maine?
Yeah, I'm here.
Are you not going to comply with it?
I'm complying with state and federal laws.
We are the federal law. Well, you better do it. You better do it because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. And by the way, your population, even though it's somewhat liberal, although I did very well there, your population doesn't want men playing in women's sports. So you better comply because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding.
See you in court.
Every state, good, I'll see you in court. I look forward to that. That should be a real easy one. And enjoy your life after governor because I don't think you'll be in elected politics.
Just because one person abuses the system doesn't mean the system and as a whole is bad. That's literally baby in the bathwater. That's why we have a saying for it. A back and forth with Trump. Then I think he has a phone call where he intentionally misgenders her, which isn't allowed. It goes against his own EO, right? His executive order says you have to address people the gender they were born, and then we get this.
President Trump referred to Governor Mills as he or him at least 6 times in that call.
Whatever is going on with him, radical left governor, he's announced the plan already. He wants to resettle 75,000 migrants into Maine. That's only because they told him to do so. He's weak and ineffective. And they told him to do so, and he's saying, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, I will do it.
So he goes against his own EO and starts calling her a man, and then comes up with this. He wants 75,000 asylum seekers, or she, but he calls her he. This comes from, it says, heading in the second half of the 131st legislature, Republicans in the state house are pointing out state spending for social services and asylum seekers, specifically during weekly press conferences where just several weeks ago, our Republican leaders brought up the statistic that $34 million was spent to house asylum seekers, which currently numbered a little over 2,000. Last week, we broke the biggest story of 2024. House Minority Leader Billy Bob Falkingham said, "We don't feel like it got the coverage it deserved." Republican leadership then called for Governor Mills' administration to discuss the spending. Republicans also called out $13.9 million for putting asylum seekers in hotels and more than $3 million used to build new transitional housing for asylum seekers. On January 30th, during another Republican press conference, leadership also said the governor's administration wanted to bring 75,000 new Mainers to the state by 2030. A review of state documents and emails with Maine Housing found that while some of these claims are true, the money spent is not much when compared to other social services. Documents shared with the News Center Maine by Maine Housing showed that $34 million was spent on asylum seekers. It was part of a 3-year, $55 million emergency housing fund. It also accounts for just 3% of the funding Maine Housing spent in general during that 3-year period. 3% went to asylum seekers. Housing for those legally seeking asylum in Maine accounts for less than 3% of the total spent over the last 3 years on housing help. It is a sliver of the funding that goes towards housing. Additionally, these investments have helped dramatically increase not only emergency shelter capacity, they are also helping create new and lasting affordable housing infrastructure, homes in the communities that will be here for decades to come. So the houses stay whether there's an asylum seeker in it this year or not next year. Maine Housing also confirmed other parts of its spending, including the construction of traditional housing for asylum seekers in Brunswick. The issue of asylum seeker support has garnered attention in Maine and in elsewhere, so we wanted to provide a complete picture. It's also important to point out that non-citizens do not qualify for Section 8 housing using housing vouchers, which are the primary source of rental assistance available through our agency, Maine Housing said in one of its documents. The 24-unit transitional housing building in Brunswick that made the news over the help it provides to asylum-seeking families will be financed by the private developer with only $1 million provided by emergency housing funds in Maine. Maine Housing said the hope is when asylum seekers get their work permits authorized, which could take more than a year after applying, once arriving in the U.S., they would start working and contributing to the rent payments. To put this in perspective, less than 3% of the $1.239 billion Maine Housing allocated in 2022, 2023, 2024 was for asylum seeker-specific housing services. The final claim that 75,000 new Mainers would be brought to Maine by 2030 is not entirely true. While early iterations of this plan may have been vague, specific text in the state's 10-year economic development strategy states that they won't be relying on refugees and asylum seekers to fill 75,000. They're just trying to get 75,000 people to move their state. It has nothing to do with refugees. They want to attract 75,000 people to Maine's talent pool by both increasing participation among Maine's existing population and attracting new people from out of state. They just need more people for their workforce. They need more people to live in Maine. Maine is not super densely populated. So when there's an issue about, oh my God, they spent money to help asylum seekers. It's actually asylum recipients. They spent money to help asylum recipients, and also they want 75,000 to move here. Trump and the other Republicans put the two together, and they're like, we need 75,000 asylum seekers here, and it isn't happening. God doesn't condone lazy people. God doesn't condone not feeding the hungry, especially hungry kids. And why do you want American companies to go to Mexico and Canada to make American products just because they can get cheaper labor? That's under Trump's new America, Mexico, Canada trade deal. He allows that, not me. You think I set fucking international fucking trade and manufacturing? Trump did that. You just have to have so many parts from the host country, and you get by without any type of tariff on you. So there you go. Trump made that loophole, not me. You'd be mad about it, but you got to be mad at Trump for making the loophole. Trump's pretty good at loopholes. What is that guy's name? Doinkles? Right. So Trump signed a trade deal with Mexico, U.S., and Canada. If he didn't want auto manufacturers to make cars in Mexico and sell them in the United States, he could have closed that. Instead, he said, I'm putting a tariff on it. But if you have like 10% of the workforce is U.S. based, then no tariff. But he didn't. He could have stopped it. He didn't. This is the guy that does the RFK impressions. He's been calling and leaving voicemails. I want to see if I can find the voicemail. He said NAFTA destroyed us. NAFTA destroyed us. That's why automakers are going to Mexico to make their cars. I'm doing the next deal, and I'm going to fix it. Did he fix it? No? What? What? Wild, he didn't do that. He called RFK from the future.
Thank you for calling the United States Department of Health and Human Services, the immediate office of the Secretary.
Hang up or press pound for more options.
Jesus Christ, Bobby. It's you from the future. I'm you. I just wanted to let you know that I set you up for a big first day. I told Marjorie Taylor Greene that you put lobsters in the White House toilet tank. And then I called Lauren Boebert. I wanted to see if we could take her out. And she still hasn't said yes or no, but I think she's going with Kid Rock. I'm so proud of you for becoming the king of health. Well, I guess I'm proud of me, too. I'm the one in the future. You should be proud of me. Our uncle, he can see us now. I wonder what he'd say. He'd probably be pissed at you, though, for the whole USAID thing. That's beside the point. Anyway, I just wanted to say congratulations, and I hope you do good.
Thank you for calling the United States Department.
RFK calls RFK from. He's got the shit down. He also did Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Thank you for calling the Washington.
He's got the impression down.
Of Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. Our office hours are from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. If you would like to leave a comment for Congresswoman Greene, please press 2. Work involving a federal agency, please. Congresswoman Greene values your input.
Jesus, Marjorie, it's me, Robert F. Kennedy. I went out to Red Lobster tonight, and I took 2 lobsters out of the tank. I was pretty certain they were talking to me. But
Podcasters don't make a ton of money. You know how most podcasts don't make any money. It's the top 1%, the same way that everything is that make a lot of money. You're retarded. We've established that, though.
In the bathroom. They're in the toilet tank of the White House. And I need you to go get them. If they find out I did this, I'm not going to have a job. I need your help, Marjorie. Please. If anybody asks if I went down to that Red Lobster, you haven't heard anything.
Thank you for calling the Washington, D.C. office of Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. Our office hours are from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. If you would like to leave a comment.
That would have been an amazing time to fix the trade deal for cars being made in Mexico, but he chose not to. In fact, as long as I think it's like 20% of the workers working on it average at least $16 an hour, then that's one of the things that you don't have to have tariffs on it. So now there's no tariffs on those cars coming in from Mexico. So what companies are doing is hiring their engineers, designers. Their very expensive jobs are U.S. based. Everything else is in Mexico. They're just bypassing the whole system. And that was his crowning jewel, his achievement. And then he come back in 2024 and said, we're getting fucked on trade deals by Canada and Mexico. But you made the new trade deal. You said people said it was the best trade deal that had ever been made. Kind of weird. We got Julie's Jesus here. Jules, what the fuck's her retarded ass name? Julie's Jesus.
Truly I say unto you, whoever welcomes one of these little ones in my name might be letting in a murderer or a drug. Let's get her to a detention center.
That's right.
Until we can figure out what's going on. I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. And behold, now I'm all lazy and entitled. You shouldn't have done that. Do unto others as you suspect they might want to do unto you. What is a man profited if he gain the whole world but lose his soul? A lot. He has profited a lot. One soul for the whole world, that is an amazing deal. Why do you look at the speck of dust in your brother's eye, but ignore the plank in your own? Because of her emails. Yes. If a man strikes you on the right cheek, turn to him and shoot him. That is the law. If you want to be perfect, go. Sell all the possessions that you have and give the money to a solid mutual fund. By this, they will know that you are my disciples.
So the 10,000 troops at the border that Trump got Mexico to put there have been there every year since like 2019. And no, since earlier than that, the 10,000 troops. So they didn't concede anything there over the tariffs. And then the entire border package that Canada conceded to Trump on was actually passed before Trump was even in office. The $1 billion investment and stopping fentanyl and cartels, they passed that in 2024. Both those things existed before Trump and his tariffs made them exist. They just told him something so he'd shut up. Yeah, it might have been since 2014 they've had 10,000 troops on the border.
That you say Merry Christmas! Christ! Christmas! That's my name in there, and I put it in there because I wanted it in there!
You don't remember Trump making fun of disabled journalists?
So we can all celebrate Big Boy Jesus' birthday time! Okay? Okay!
Rabbi, surely you can heal me.
My child.
We'll grab it.
Of course I could. But who would pay for it?
What? I don't understand. I don't have any money.
Yes, it is a sad story, but it does not make me responsible.
You're lazy, you bitch. Jesus said, don't suffer the lazy.
Super duper easy for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. The richer, the better, really. Maybe get a solid gold house, just to be sure. Love your neighbor as yourself. Unless you are better than your neighbor, then tell them that they're weird and you do not want to bake them a cake. You have heard it said, thou shalt not commit adultery. But I say to you, any man who looks upon a woman with lust in his heart should go ahead and do what he's got to do.
Lord, your followers grow hungry and we have only this fish and bread.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, no. Boo the poor. I'm an ordained fucking minister.
Donald Trump facing new criticism for something he did on the campaign trail last night in South Carolina while defending his debunked claim that he saw thousands of Muslims celebrate the collapse of the Twin Towers here in New York. He appeared to mock a reporter with a disability. Take a look.
Written by a nice reporter. Now the poor guy, you got to see this guy. Oh, I don't know what I said. I don't remember.
You ought to see this guy, and then he does that.
He's going like, I don't remember. Oh, maybe that's what I said. This was 14 years ago. They didn't do a retraction.
That reporter he is talking about
He's never made that motion before, talking about anybody. Never made that motion since, talking about anybody. Just this guy. Kind of weird.
Serge Kovaleski, who now works for the New York Times. As you can see right there, he suffers from a chronic condition that impairs movement of his arms. A Times spokesman says they find it outrageous that Trump would ridicule the man's appearance.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit. I can't do any more Trump. Fuck him. I can't believe I've supported him before. Campaigned for him. Worked a phone bank for him. Tried to get him elected. Jesus Christ. What's wrong with me? Let me go here. So some veterans are upset. Let's go to TikTok. This is a guy. He actually has a pretty big community. I don't know how big he does on TikTok, but I've seen him all over the fucking place. TikTok, YouTube. He runs the Sons of Liberty movement channel, all that. It's Sons of Liberty. Die mad about it. And he puts on a little speech today.
Since diversity, equity, and inclusion is under attack, and since I've been to lots of meetings on this topic.
Oh, this isn't it, actually. Hold on.
But let's talk about the government efficiency.
Did I lose the one I'm looking for?
So if you're actively serving.
Where's the one I'm looking for? Hold on. I know I got a clip of it here from February 23rd, so it was from yesterday. None of these are pinned, are they?
But let's talk about...
Did he get pulled down? It might have got taken. Hold on. Here's a re-upload.
What's up, fam of Liberty? And also everyone else watching this video who isn't following our channel for some unknown reason. It's your new best friend, Big Sarge, or the artist formerly known as Admin Tim. I'm the founder of the Sons of Liberty, the social media organization that's been steadily enraging MAGA fuckface ass clown boot-licking cucks since 2015. If you saw us out in the streets at a protest for the first time and or you're new to our channel, I know what you might be thinking, so let me go ahead and get this out of the way. Fuck Russian stooge Donald Trump. Fuck neo-Nazi illegal immigrant Elon Mussolini. Fuck GOP politicians. Fuck limp dick Democrat politicians that aren't fighting back. And fuck the billionaire, wealth hoarders that have their fucking boot on the neck of just about every...
Wait a second. You think this was cut and spliced together? It's just him at a podium doing it.
York, he appeared to mock a reporter with a disability. Take a look.
It's just him fucking doing it.
Written by a nice reporter. Now the poor guy, you got to see this guy. Oh, I don't know what I said. I don't remember.
Where's the splice at?
I don't remember. Maybe that's what I said. This is 14 years ago. They didn't do a retraction.
That reporter,
It's just a solid clip of him cut and splice. Whatever.
That's been steadily enraging MAGA fuckface ass clown boot-licking cucks since 2015. If you saw us out in the streets at a protest for the first time and or you're new to our channel, I know what you might be thinking, so let me go ahead and get this out of the way. Fuck Russian stooge Donald Trump. Fuck neo-Nazi illegal immigrant Elon Mussolini. Fuck GOP politicians. Fuck limp dick Democrat politicians that aren't fighting back. And fuck the billionaire, wealth hoarders that have their fucking boot on the neck of just...
He was talking about that reporter. It's the only time he's ever made that movement, and that reporter has a disability that causes his arm to set like this. What the fuck do you think he was doing?
About every American citizen. This channel and its comment sections are not a safe space for bootlicking simps, for a convicted felon, adjudicated rapist, Wish.com fascist oligarch, a failed insurrectionist, a wannabe authoritarian tyrant, a would-be king, or his sugar daddy, the world's biggest supervillain manchild from South Africa that nobody elected. Now that you know where I stand on things, if you're still here and you're not frantically rage typing into my comments box like a triggered snowflake cultist who's been deluding himself for almost a decade, then maybe consider following the channel after you watch the video and deciding whether or not you like the cut of my jib. Y'all motherfuckers like Bob Ross? Well, guess what, fam? I got a paintbrush and you can call me Big Hoss. So let me paint you a picture. On February 15th, Donald Trump quoted famous dictator Napoleon Bonaparte on social media saying that he who saves his country does not violate any law. Okay, technically he's quoting the 1970 Rod Steiger movie Waterloo. This is a direct parallel to something called Führerprinzip, granting the word of the Führer above everyone else in Nazi Germany. On Tuesday, 18 February, Vice President Donald Trump, yes, I said Vice President, issued an executive order to consolidate power by...
He even says, this reporter, talking about that reporter, and says, have you seen this guy? Before he starts doing that with his arms.
By assuming regulatory control of independent agencies created by Congress, which are now no longer allowed to disagree with him. These are agencies like the FCC and the Securities and Exchange Commission. Trump took to Truth Social and saying, "Long live the king." This image and the quote.
This right here. you're in some type of weird cults if this right here didn't make you upset. You're in a fucking cult, right? You can dismiss anything. He tweeted out, "Long live the king." And then the White House tweeted that out with a picture of him wearing a crown. Somebody added the clown nose, obviously, but live by the Constitution, die by the Constitution. We're patriots. We don't fuck them. We won the war. We're free. We're independent. And long live the king. Damn it.
Were shared by the White House's social media accounts, which included an AI image of Trump wearing a crown. Since I'm a flag-waving patriot and not some jackass cosplatriot, let me quote Thomas Jefferson. "A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people." And if y'all
unfit to be the ruler of a free people. All news is Democrat news if it doesn't support Trump. I know, I played that game.
All fake so-called patriots in the MAGA cult weren't offended by books and reading and schooling, you might have fucking learned something in American history class when we talk about the Declaration of Independence and see the king's crimes listed in that very document and recognize how closely they parallel this exact moment in time. Now, I realize that asking y'all MAGA fuckface ass clowns to go reread that document is an impossible task since most of you are ignorant morons, and even if you did, it wouldn't cut through your cult programming. What's funny is Vice President Trump called Ukraine's president a dictator and also blamed him for starting a war somehow. Not sure how you start a war by getting invaded, but that's the logic coming out of the mouth of a stable genius. Anyway, so Trump called Ukraine's president a dictator, but is trying really hard to...
Zelensky said that if Ukraine can be free and peaceful and talk about membership to NATO, he would step down because he's not a dictator, obviously.
Be allowed to be president for longer than constitutionally allowed and has basically shredded the Constitution and cucked the entire Congress, half of which are bootlicking simps for fascism anyway. So I'm not going to kink shame Republic KKK-lins for being into the cuckold lifestyle. Anyway, by the way, back in...
You think this guy with Sons of Liberty that he would be on the exact opposite, but no, he's a good dude. He's like, fuck these pieces of shit.
1994, I raised my hand and swore an oath to defend the Constitution and my country and its citizens. My oath did not expire after being presented with a DD-214. Fellow veterans, I know a lot of you are conservative because you served and you like your guns and your Black Rifle coffee and flags and Spartan logos. You are allowed to say at any point, I cannot support this. Even if you did.
That's what I think some people are struggling with. Not all. Some people, like that guy I was telling you, it's like agreed with me about fuck those poor kids, get a job or whatever. I was joking and he took it seriously. He'll never concede to Trump. Some people are to the point now that they're afraid to say I fucked up. Right? They're afraid to say like I was lied to. I believed the lie. I thought it would benefit me. I thought I would do better. You know, I thought there's a bigger issue than what it was. I believed the lies about eating dogs or whatever. Some people are afraid of it. But that won't last forever.
Even if you were unsure, even if you decided to accept things that you didn't agree with for that one thing or two things that you did, you can at any point say this has gone too far. And whilst the best time to say that was earlier, the second best time is now. You are a DEI hire. You're not immune to the government that sent you to war. They don't care about you except when you are a pawn in uniform or a prop out of uniform. Want to know how I know? Because they're coming after your VA benefits. President Elon Mussolini, who nobody fucking voted for and nobody fucking elected, set loose his little incel dipshits, the 7 dorks. Elon, white power, and the 7 dorks. Anyway, Elon's goon squad from the Department of Government Efficiency, aka DOGE, raided the Veterans Administration database to see what money they can steal from you. Sure enough, the first cuts have come in. They've cut the Veterans Administration suicide hotline that a lot of you have used. They've begun removing the VA staff, claiming that laying off 1,000 VA workers.
I've used the crisis hotline. I'm not afraid to say it. I've used it. I've been on it for hours before. Trying to have somebody help me talk myself down. Like I've used it a bunch. More than I'm fucking proud of.
come in. They've cut the Veterans Administration suicide hotline that a lot of you have used. They've begun removing the VA staff, claiming that laying off 1,000 VA workers saves $98 million per year. The fact that Elon Musk has been sleeping in his office across the street from the White House since he started this douche fixing expedition whilst he's a CEO of 3 separate companies proves that CEOs are not worth their price tag. But it's a shame because I guess some of y'all forgot about Dre. But let's talk about the government efficiency and saving money for a second. Elon Mussolini's 7 staffers have taken an additional $7.4 million this week in expenses, bringing the total to $14.4 million. Can somebody with better math skills than me please explain to me, like I'm 5, how 7 guys supposedly working for free and sleeping in the office can run up $14.4 million in expenses in 2 weeks? Maybe someone should call the Inspector General. Oh, wait. So if laying off 1,000 VA workers saves $98 million a year, at this burn rate for his free services, that savings disappears in about roughly 10 weeks. I've said that I'm a single issue voter and my issue is motherfucking democracy. So here's what we're gonna do about this, fam. The gloves are off. It's time to stop pussyfooting around and clutching our pearls like Democratic Party politicians standing outside a government building saying, oh, we've got to do something, and then letting themselves be denied entry by a fucking rent-a-cop. Fellow veterans, you are used to leading by example and leading from the front. At least if you were a decent leader, because that's the example that we all had. It's time for you to, once again, fight for your country. This is a call to action. Friday, March 14th, we march on Washington, D.C. Every veteran who is concerned about our benefits, our disability pay, everything that we were promised would be available to us after we completed our service to our country. Everything that was part of the bargain for being cared for after being bruised and battered, figuratively or literally, for putting our lives on the line to keep this country free. We aren't free anymore. A spray-painted clown who's been groomed as a Russian asset since the late 80s, John already had that conversation, and his sugar daddy, the world's richest supervillain sociopathic man-child, are tearing apart this country's government. And before y'all come at me with that, well, there's so much inefficiency, yeah, that may be true, and I might agree with you, but there are also a lot of critical functions, and tens of millions of Americans are being affected by this right now. And let's not even try to contemplate what's going to happen after these fascist fuckfaces take your personal and financial information and give it away to the highest bidder. Friday, March 14th, we march on Washington, D.C. This is a veterans march, but it's not just for veterans. If you never served, I don't care. Welcome to the fight. You're now in the Phantom of Liberty because these motherfuckers declared you and me and everyone remotely like us the enemy within. What's up, Phantom of Liberty? And also everyone else watching this video who isn't
not a bad post.
For some unknown reason. It's your new best friend, Big Sarge, or the artist formerly known as Admin Tim.
I like this guy. I've seen him pop up fucking everywhere, but I couldn't remember his name. And then this popped up. I guess he's either taken down his video or he got taken down. Then we just pull it up and it's not there anymore. Hold on. Here it is. It was a longer video. This is only a minute. Same day he recorded this video, or same shirt.
And since I've been to lots of meetings on Since diversity, equity, and inclusion is under attack, and since I've been to lots of meetings on this topic, I want to share the definition of racial equity that I've learned. Racial equity means that you cannot predict someone's quality of life or other outcomes solely based on their race or ethnicity. So my question is, what's wrong with this definition? Anyway, I learned about DEIAB from the same people who now support banning it. Diversity. Red and yellow, black and white, they are precious in his sight. Jesus loves the little children of the world. Equity. For all have sinned and have fallen.
I love how the right wing thinks that DEI means, like, we have this guy that's like fucking perfect for the job, and then instead we're going to find this black trans immigrant who has no experience, never held a job before, doesn't even have a resume, and we're going to find them on the streets of LA and in a fucking drug den tent, and like now they're in charge of the FAA. Y'all are fucking idiots. There's no nuance in anything they believe, anything they fucking. It's just wild. It's wild to me, the way they think the world fucking works. And it just doesn't seem to work the way that they've convinced themselves it does. Yeah, it's wild. Is this CPAC? Did Trump finally speak at CPAC? The guy got too monotone for me. I do like that guy, though. Check out Sons of Liberty on social media.
Trump just showed up at CPAC today. You're going to want to watch a few of these moments.
Word tariff is my favorite word in the dictionary. You know, we were the richest relatively from, think of this, from 1870 to 1913. That was our rich.
I want an audit of the government. I think the government ought to be able to pass an audit. From auditors. From forensic analysts. From people that come through and say, hey, this company tried to fuck over such and such. Right? They lied about this contract. What they delivered did not meet our contract. We paid $40 million. They told us they'd deliver us these 15 vehicles that could do X, Y, and Z, and they can't do X and Y. What I don't want is someone who doesn't even know the people that protects our strategic reserve of nuclear weapons, what they do, and they just fire them all, and then someone said, hey, those guys control our strategic reserve. Like, they do the maintenance on it. They assess threats. Like, they keep them ready to go. And they're like, oh, shit, we had no idea what they did. See if you can hire them back.
Just because we collected tariffs from foreign countries that came in and took our jobs and took our money, took our everything.
I love when Trump bitches about Mexico and Canada. And he's the one, he literally called this the crown jewel of his first administration, right? The America, Mexico, whatever, trade deal.
They charged tariffs, and we had so much money, they set up the 1887, think of that, a long time ago, 1887 Tariff Commission. It was a commission of very important people to determine where we should spend all of the tremendous, vast wealth that we had. We had so much wealth. Wouldn't it be nice today? Of course, now we give it away to transgender this, transgender that. Everybody gets a transgender operation. It's just wonderful. No, we give it away like to crazy things. But in those days, it was different. It was a different world. It was a different country. But we were very rich because of tariffs.
Trump says we were the richest between 1870 and 1913. Now, first of all, this isn't even close to true. The period that he's describing is called the Gilded Age. And the least surprising thing on Earth is that...
Do you guys know what gilded means? It's called... Gilded means it has a... it's usually worthless metal like lead, and it has a thin coating of gold on top. The descriptor means it looks shiny, but it's not solid gold. Right? It looked good, but it has underlying problems. Because we had wealthy billionaire class and everybody else was so fucking poor.
This is the period that Trump admires, considering it was a period of huge economic disparities where the wealthy enjoyed extreme wealth while the working class struggled with overwhelming poverty, poor working conditions, and low wages. It was also a time of rampant corruption in government. Now, does any of this sound familiar? Take all the time.
Rampant corruption in government.
You need with that one. In reality, back on Earth 1, the actual period of greatest economic prosperity in the U.S. was the mid-20th century, the 1950s and 1960s, primarily for two reasons. First, union membership grew, giving workers collective bargaining power for the first time. And second, the top marginal tax rate was high, around 90% at its highest point, which bolstered the middle class. In other words, the wealthy were forced to pay their fair share. There is a reason that this billionaire president and his co-president, the literal richest person in the world, don't acknowledge that period as being prosperous, considering it wouldn't have benefited people like them. And so instead, they'll pretend that a period marked for its corruption, income inequality, and worker exploitation is what we should aspire to. If Trump was any less subtle about who he actually represents, he would tattoo it on his forehead. Also, in the interest of debunking one more lie for the billionth time, no, tariffs do not, nor have they ever, made the U.S. rich. Tariffs are a tax that is paid not by a foreign country, but by the importing company. Those increased costs are passed on to the consumer.
So the billionaire class that was importing this stuff was paying the tariffs.
Meaning tariffs on China, on Canada, on Mexico are in reality a tax paid by Americans. No matter how much he wants to pretend that tariffs are going to usher in prosperity, he is not going to manifest that lie into reality. Tariffs will cost Americans more money, just as they're doing right now. Of course, believing anything Trump is saying would suggest that you believe him when he says that the reason that we have no money is because everyone is getting transgender operations. Now, If you're dumb enough to believe that everybody in America is getting taxpayer-funded transgender operations, then I'm not sure I can say anything here to help you. But for the rest of you, Trump saying this is actually an important message because it betrays just how stupid he perceives his supporters to be. Anybody who thinks that their audience has half a brain would not try to convince them that we are in debt in this country because it's all going to trans surgeries. In reality, you know why we don't have money? Why don't we ask the one person more responsible for our debt than any other human being in the history of the United States of America, Donald Trump? He alone is responsible for a quarter of all debt the U.S. has incurred. And he managed that feat by...
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. We got to talk about Trump's debt. I got the perfect clip for you guys. Remember, when you're out there arguing with these people, this is what you're arguing with. MAGA math. This guy, we'll come back to this video and finish it. This guy cannot comprehend what is happening on the chart behind him.
If you take...
Okay, this chart behind him says net 10-year debt. So this is how they figure out the debt that your policies would cause over the next 10 years, right? Because it's not fair to just put debt on a president for 4 years. And the reason being is because their policies a lot of times go on. Or they might have been, at first, they might have been operating under someone else's policy. So they just take the president from the day he started and they go out to the debt that it will produce over 10 years. It's an estimate. Unless those 10 years have already happened, then it's documented. But whatever policies you implemented, 10 years out. That's how they compare presidents, how they added debt, took away from the debt, whatever. Now, this chart shows Trump at the top. This is from the Committee of Responsible Federal Budget. For a responsible federal budget, I'm sorry. And I'll zoom in. But no matter how you look at it, non-COVID for Trump was $4.8 trillion. Non-COVID for Biden to the debt was 2.2. Okay. COVID, CARES Act, COVID, everything else, stimulus checks was 3.6 for Trump, and it was 2.1 for Biden. So the total here is going to be 4.3 for Biden, right? And then we got 8.4 for Trump, the total. So if you say, well, not without COVID, well, let's just compare non-COVID, 4.8 to 2.2, right? Or let's compare COVID, 3.6 to 2.1. Let's compare the total, 4.3 to 8.4. This guy tries adding Trump. On Trump's, he's saying it's 8.4, right? You can see it. On Biden's, he's trying to add this 2.2 plus this 2.1 plus this 4.3 at the end for some reason. So it'd be 8.6, I think, is what he's trying to do. And everybody in the chat's trying to explain it to him. It's hilarious.
If you take out the COVID spending from Donald Trump and Joe Biden, Donald Trump still spent double than Joe Biden.
Didn't he?
Double.
$4 trillion.
And Joe Biden spent 2.2.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
The Inflation Reduction Act.
What do you mean? That's the Committee for Responsible Federal Budget. It's right in front of your face, dude.
Look at you realize we added about $1 trillion to the deficit, or to the
how about stopping
90 days?
How about
every 90 days under Biden?
For a second. How about stopping talking for a second and look at the screen? Okay, take your head out of your comic book and look at the screen.
What is that? What is that? 2, 2, and 4. What does that equal? Dipshit.
Look at the screen, my guy.
What is that?
He's saying 2, 2, and 4. What does that equal?
What does that equal? 2, 2, and 4. What does that equal?
Look at the screen. What does it say?
2, 2. Yeah, that's exactly what I said. Non-COVID, $4 trillion. Biden spent $8 trillion.
Look at the fucking screen, you idiot.
Saying,
look at the screen.
He cannot get this.
What does that say under Biden, dipshit? 2.2, 2.1, and 4.3. What is that? How much money is that?
That's the total.
Exactly. That's what I said. 8 point what?
8.4 is what Donald Trump spent. 4.3 is what Joe Biden spent. Total.
He can't do it.
Three numbers together.
He can't do it. It's fucking hilarious.
Total.
It's 4.3 in total.
Joe Biden spent total.
You don't add those three numbers
COVID.
Together, man. It's 4.3 in total.
It's 4.3 in total compared to 8.4.
Okay, well, let's bring up the Inflation Reduction Act.
Okay, well then let's bring up the Inflation Reduction Act. Let's bring up what this is.
If you're MAGA and you know it, make excuses. Come on, Trump. If you're MAGA
MAGA and you know it, make excuses.
Come on, Elon.
If you're MAGA and you know it, and you really want to show it. If you're MAGA and you know it, make excuses.
Foreign Nazis.
That's pretty good. All right, back to it. Trump on stage.
Cutting taxes for millionaires and billionaires. Not transgender surgeries, but rather handouts to the ultra-rich, courtesy of the very person who is scapegoating the trans community right now. Surprise, surprise. Trump then decided to take a swipe at Pete Buttigieg.
We even got rid of people like Pete Buttigieg, who did the worst job of anybody in the history of transportation.
Imagine being so deluded that while presiding over an administration that's probably best known right now for its inability to keep planes in the sky, you attack the previous transportation secretary, who's not only popular, but also managed the apparently Herculean feat of keeping planes airborne. Of course, it might help if Trump could stop firing FAA officials, even amid a shortage in air traffic controllers. But then again, what do I know? Maybe Trump wants planes to keep crashing because art of the deal or something. But it actually got dumber from there.
We're also going to Fort Knox. I'm going to go with Elon. And would anybody like to join us? Because we want to see if the gold is still there. We want to see. Wouldn't that be terrible? We open up this Fort Knox. It's just solid granite that's 5 feet thick. The front door, you need 6 musclemen to open it up. I don't even think they have windows. Wouldn't that be terrible if we opened it up and there was no gold there? So we're going to open those doors. We're going to take a look. And if there's 27 tons of gold, we'll be very happy. I don't know how the hell we're going to measure it, but that's okay. We want to see lots of nice, beautiful, shiny gold in Fort Knox. Don't be totally surprised. We open the door, we'll say, there's nothing here. They stole this too. No, we have a very corrupt group of people in this country.
Because why govern when you could just go on side quests to find gold at Fort Knox? Dude thinks he's Nicolas Cage in the National Treasure series, and yet still it got dumber from there.
What do we like better, Crooked Joe or Sleepy Joe? Ready? Ready? Crooked Joe or Sleepy? Ready? Crooked Joe. Sleepy Joe. Got to stay with Crooked.
It is February 22nd, 2025. The election was almost 4 months ago. Perhaps Donald Trump could drop his obsession with Joe Biden and remember that, in fact, he's the president right now and stop drafting off of his contempt for his predecessor. And look, I get why he's salty. Biden presided over a stronger economy than him, the jobs boom that Trump failed to deliver on, the manufacturing renaissance that Trump failed to deliver on, the infrastructure upgrade that Trump failed to deliver on, all with more votes than Trump ever got. So the swipes aren't surprising. But hey, maybe Trump saw the sky-high price of eggs and forgot that he wasn't back in the 2024 election cycle. And finally, Trump offered up this gem.
We're doing another thing. If they don't report for work, we're firing them. In other words, you have to go to office. Right? Right? Look at her. If you don't report to work.
By the way, Elon, which I'm pretty sure isn't legal, but Elon sent a email out to everybody that works for the federal government from the Office of Personnel Management that said, tell me 5 things you did last week, and you have until Monday to respond or you're fired, basically. The email didn't say that. The email just said, tag your supervisor, 5 bullet points, don't include classified information or attachments of what you did last week. But then he went to tweet that if they didn't respond, it would be their resignation.
You know, that's another scam. You know, who the hell, if I'm staying home, I'm going to, let's see, my golf handicap would get down to very low number. You'd be shocked if I told you the real number. But I would be so good, I'd try and get on tour. I would be so good. I'd call up, I'd say, listen, I'm really working here. Where are my clubs? Where are my clubs?
That's because you're a piece of shit, right? That's because you're a piece of shit. Studies find that remote workers are incredibly more productive. Happier, less expensive to keep on staff. If you're going to fuck off just because you're remote working, then you are probably fucking off at your job, right? It doesn't change that.
Either that or, in many cases, they have second jobs while they're getting paid by us. So one of the reasons they're leaving is because they don't want to have to show that. And we're demanding to see that information. How many jobs have you had? Who paid you while you were working for the government? And we are demanding that people, if they work for the government, they have to show up and sit in an office.
I find Trump's obsession with showing up to work so funny, considering there is quite literally nothing else this guy wants to do than golf.
And by the way, yes, he's always at golf. He wants everybody else to be in the office. Well, then you be in the fucking office, dude. You know that I think that the DOGE for 2 weeks or something, they're reporting $10.4 million in expenses. Or is it 14.4? Hold on. Was it 14.4? I think it was for 2 weeks, though. One was 7 and one was 7.4. $14.4 million. There's five guys in Elon. They claim they're working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Elon claims that he's sleeping in his office. And the other guys are sleeping there close on the job too. And their expenses for 2 weeks is $14.4 million. What the fuck? How? Yeah, it was $6.75 million, and it's up to $14.4 million in 2 weeks. The advisory group claimed they have already saved taxpayers $37.7 billion, but we know that's riddled with holes. Some of those contracts so in one case they counted a contract 3 times. In other cases, these contracts are already paid. We're gonna have to go through this line by line to see how much they really saved. Trump's been in Palm Beach all week complaining about remote workers. Sounds about right. Sorry, I just now saw you on Rumble Chat.
Golf. And worse, he does it. In fact, in honor of Trump's favorite pastime, here's a little homage that I threw together.
We talk about reporting to work, right? I happen to be a believer that you have to go to work. I don't think you can work from home. I don't know. It's like there's a whole big, you can work from home. Nobody's going to work from home. They're going to be going out. They're going to play golf. They're going to do a lot of things. They're not working. It's a rare person that's going to work. You might work 10% of the time, maybe 20%. I don't think you're going to work a lot more than that. And I think they have an obligation.
Hold on just a second. Appropriations. Antic non-expand trans, 750,000. Antic Coles, COLL, reimbursements and other, 6 million. 6 million on reimbursements. $6.7 million to modernization initiative. How do you get 6 million in reimbursements in 2 weeks? It goes from January 27th to February 8th. Holy shit, dude. Those kids are going to make a shit ton of money. Those like 19-year-olds he's got running around with him.
Work, and I have an obligation not to have a second job when they're supposed to be working for the federal government. You're going to find a lot of these people have second jobs instead of working for. They'll be collecting a federal government check and they'll be working 2 jobs. And that's
if they're nobody. No, this is an absolute lie, but nobody should be working for the federal government and having a second job. People don't work second jobs because it's fun. People don't work second jobs because they think, you know what, it's too much free time.
That's big trouble for them.
Because I'm going to be working for you, I'm not going to have time to go play golf.
I love golf. I think it's one of the greats, but I don't have time. According to analysis by ABC News,
he doesn't even have time.
Spent slightly more than 22% of his time in office at a golf course.
22% of the entire, that's day, night, everything, right? Of the hours. That means he averages 5 hours a day since he's been elected on a golf course. That's like playing around every day, right?
All of which underscores the ridiculousness of this person who has no clue what he's saying, no clue what he's doing, and no interest in upholding a single promise that he made to his own voters as he slashes healthcare, education, veterans, jobs, cancer research, and so much more. All the while ensuring that the richest guy in the world can keep even more money for himself. Trump is making it abundantly clear who his priority is, and it's not the Republican base. Before you go, just a quick note, if you'd like to see more of my content, which is always free of advertising, sponsorships, and paywalls, please make sure to subscribe to this channel using the subscribe button right here on the screen. And if you'd like to support my work even further, you can grab a copy of my instant #1 New York Times selling book, Shameless, available for sale right now. That link is also on the screen. Thanks so much for watching.
Now, I guess I want to cover the... Have you guys seen the leaked text? I want to preface this by saying the right-wing MAGA thought has definitely been trying to catch Elon's baby batter. Okay, that was her goal. She told people that she needed to be funnier because Elon was following her on Twitter now, and she wanted to have his rocket babies. Like, she's definitely a right-wing thought. Like, I don't think she's like some type of poor victim in this. But she talks about how her life goal was a traditional marriage with a husband and kids and a farm, and makes fun of people with OnlyFans or sleeping around or high body counts. Then she's out here having fucking Elon Musk's like 15th fucking kid. And then she files a lawsuit against him and ends up with it's on Signal, so there's no way for her to take a screenshot, so she has to take a picture of their communication on Signal, and she submits it. She submits it in her lawsuit, and that's now out.
Baby mama drama.
Let's see if we can just pull this up. I don't like it, good mail. Leaked text from the Daily Mail. First of all, she claims she had to come public with this going on because the horrible left-wing media was going to out her. But it's like she already had a playbook. No one was even talking about this. No one had mentioned it except for Milo. No one had even mentioned it. She comes out herself, and she has a pre-recorded interview with the New York Post before she comes forward. I think she wanted to spill this 100%. She wanted to spill this. She wanted this out there. This is plain, like a planned announcement. He must have pissed her off or stopped talking to her or something. Elon Musk has responded to claims that his alleged baby mama, Ashley St. Clair, plotted to have his child as far back as 2023. The tech billionaire made exclamations of whoa and yikes in response to posts on X by supporters who claimed to have information about St. Clair 26 showing she purposely manipulated him so that she could have his child. Now, this is Ashley St. Clair here. Musk responded with apparent surprise to claims by influencer Isabella Moody, who went on X and shared a private text message between her and St. Clair for 2023 shortly after Musk and the conservative star allegedly began a flirtatious relationship. I wasn't going to post these, but now that St. Clair has leaked her private Signal messages with Elon Musk after lying and saying she wanted privacy, here's more evidence Ashley planned to baby trap Elon, Moody wrote on X. And we can go see that. She sent me these text messages in May of 2023 when she first met Elon and started sleeping with him. She said, I need his rocket babies and I need a caption to seduce Elon Musk in May of 2023. See dates below. She doesn't care about privacy. She planned to seduce him by her own admission, and now she's leaking his text. So I'm leaking her text to me now because, as Laura Loomer said below, we need to condemn promiscuous gold diggers' receipts. And it says, Elon followed me. I need his rocket babies. Laugh out loud. Oh my God, no way. That's so awesome. He 1000% saw my moon landing tweet. Look, I'll take one for the team, seduce Elon, and get in a rocket to see what's up. Oh, yes, you must, for the sake of society. I need a caption to seduce Elon Musk, thinking about the dangers of AI. She doesn't care about privacy. She planned to seduce him by her own admission, and now she's leading his text. Moody continued. Moody then shared the text exchange. There it is. This comes one day after St. Cloud filed 2 bombshell lawsuits against Musk in Manhattan Supreme Court, trying to legally establish him as the child's father and seeking full custody of the 5-month-old boy. As part of the paternity suit, St. Clair filed several exhibits, including photos of text exchanges with her and EM, who she says is the Tesla founder. Presumably, these were leaked messages referenced by Moody in her viral X post. It's one of the notable exchanges. EM writes, "I want to knock you up again," in response to a photo sent by St. Clair. Reps for St. Clair did not immediately respond to questions about Musk. Where are these at? I want to see the fucking... Why are they not showing me the text? Okay, here's one. The single mom is seeking sole custody. In one jarring text exchange in the paternity petition, St. Clair shares a photo of herself and her newborn son in the hospital. All well, question mark, replies the recipient who's saved in her phone as EM. She says he is perfect. Elon says, "I look forward to seeing you and him this weekend." Adding, "Falling asleep, how the recovery goes well. Hope the recovery goes well." Another exchange, EM laments that he has credible threats every day. That's what I'm trying to get to. I'll just have to go find them. Give me a second. I know what they look like. They're a picture of her holding her phone. I want to see them all because some of them are pretty good. He's got like 13 fucking kids, dude. Here we go. All right, I'm reading them to you. Just trust me. This is Elon Musk. This guy's fucking... He's got to be whacked out of his mind on ketamine all the time. So here he goes. "I get credible death threats every day." So he wanted so bad to not be on the birth certificate. This is his defense. "I get credible death threats every day. I'm number 2 after Trump for assassination." So number 1 is Trump. Number 2 is Elon Musk. "Wake up. This is not the time for sentiment at the expense of safety. If I make a mistake on security, the baby will never know his father." And then she responds, "That's why the father spot on his birth certificate is blank right now, E. And why he has my last name." He responds, "Necessary for now. Only the paranoid survive." He's the richest man in the world. He can pay for security. Jesus fucking Christ. "Only the paranoid survive." She responds, "I understand. Apologies if Ava's text upset you. There has been incredible discretion used here, as will continue to be. The threat level will reach insane levels until the election is decided. Loose lips sink ships," was one of them, which is pretty funny. There's also one where they have like this falling out. Here it is. I'll open this one for you because this one's kind of like, oh, he didn't respond. He didn't respond. He might not want your fucking kid. So it says, this is from Ashley in the blue. "Hi, I feel like a lot broke down when Jared got involved. He said a lot of pretty horrible things to me that he attributed to you, and I feel as though there was never a rift in our relationship before that. If you are in New York or you'd like me to come to D.C., I really would appreciate being able to speak with you in person. I care about you deeply, and I feel as though third parties have put a major rift in our relationship that I truly wish was better for the sake of our son." Elon responds, okay. All this wall of text. Okay. Okay. Sounds like he really, really, really wants this woman in his life. Then she shares a gif of Jim Carrey saying, "All righty then," right? Like, okay. And he responds, we do have a legion of kids to make. We have a legion of kids to make. We have a legion of kids to make. There's another one that says, where the fuck is that one cut off? There's another one that says, I can't wait to impregnate you again or some shit like that. Knock you up again. Okay, hold on. I think that's what he says. I want to knock you up again. Yeah, that's it. Falling asleep. How's the recovery going? I look forward to seeing you and him this weekend. So we've seen all that. Oh, here it is. So she sends a picture and he says, "Hi, cutie." And she says, "Hi, see you soon," with an emote. And he says, "I want to knock you up again." But is this just an extreme breeding fantasy? Maybe. I mean, it's pretty weird. He has 14 kids, or 13 kids. I think he counts one of them off as because it's trans, because the person's trans. So he seems like a legit psycho, like everybody thinks, though. So there is that. In a separate custody position, Secretary claims that Musk was not present for the child's birth and has only met the baby on 3 occasions, twice in Manhattan where she lives and once in Texas. Musk has also never asked to see the baby nor asked for photos of him, the custody filing alleges. So there's a full-ass filing. I haven't read the whole filing. I'm just going off what everybody else is reporting on it. We could read through it, I guess, one day. We like dramatic readings, don't we? Loose lips sink ships. You understand? That's why I can't be your baby daddy. I know some countries have put into place like have 3 kids and the government gives you a free house and shit. Like, and even that doesn't seem to stop. It all has to do with sentiment, right? It seems like no matter how the economy's doing, no matter how industry's doing, no matter how the world's doing, no matter how many wars going on or peacetime or whatever, it's the way people feel that the world is going that makes them want to or not want to have kids. Do you feel like you could provide for them, you know, the way you want to? Do you feel like it's a good time to bring a kid into the world? Do you feel like you wouldn't feel bad for bringing a kid into this fucking mess? And typically, or recently, I guess, people just don't feel that. Even if the economy's good, even if industry's good, even if they got a good job, even when those countries were giving people's houses for having 3 kids, it didn't seem to affect the birth rate. Like, people weren't just having kids to get a fucking house, which seems to be crazy. Right? So, I don't know. 13 or 14, I can't remember. He doesn't count one of them. I've been using the wrong words if knock you up is what turns the ladies on. Breeding fetish. It's a weird breeding fetish. They just want to be cream dined and cream pied, I guess. I don't know. Lady shower in my baby batter. He does seem like a fucking weirdo. When he's jumping around with that chainsaw.
You likely know by now that Elon Musk, newly deputy...
So, I told you about the email he sent out saying you have to respond with what you did last week, or basically it's your resignation. Turns out, like, several branches have told them do not do that. Like the FBI under Kash Patel and other places are like, no, we're not doing that.
You likely know by now that Elon Musk, newly deputized by Trump as his hatchet man, sent the following email to all government employees. Consistent with President Donald Trump's...
By the way, I want to be extremely clear here. Listen to me, chat. Lock in! Lock in. Do not, this would be horrible. Do not, under any circumstances, send an email of what you did this week to hr@opm.gov. Do not make up a list of the funniest 5 things you can think of about Trump, Elon, and his fucking whiz kid team. Lay them out in bullet point fashion, 5 points of things you did last week, and send them to hr@opm.gov. That would really mess up their plans for trying to get the entire federal workforce to email them so they can check in and make sure they've been doing stuff. Don't do it. I do not condone sending an email just trashing the fucking current administration to hr@opm.gov. Are we clear? Now we can continue.
Instructions, all federal employees will shortly receive an email requesting to understand what they got done this last week. Failure to respond will be taken as a resignation. Now, before we go any further, I just have to say that what's most incredible here is that this is a political party that ran an entire campaign in 2016 on the dangers of compromising national security via email. And now these same people are demanding members of the CIA write 5 things they did this week to some random HR email address that may or may not be monitored by a 19-year-old kid whose longstanding principle is that he hates Indian people. Are you fucking kidding me? What, are judges supposed to write to HR to explain 5 cases they heard? Are prosecutors?
It went out to everybody that works for the federal government.
The Republicans could take 5 minutes to remember one modicum of what they once pretended they stood for and pull Trump's dick out of their mouth long enough for their oxygen to return to their brains. They might be able to acknowledge how batshit crazy it is to run a government like this and to put our national security at risk to the degree they're putting it at risk right now. But of course, that would require a spine, and these bowls of jello have the collective courage of a baby deer caught in the middle of a 6-lane highway. To that point, Elon is getting some swift pushback by at least a couple of people. According to the Department of Defense, DOD personnel may have received an email from OPM requesting information. The Department of Defense is responsible for reviewing the performance of its personnel, and it will
So DOD said no, we're not doing it.
Will conduct any review in accordance with its own procedures. When and if required, the department will coordinate responses to the email you have received from OPM. For now, please pause any responses to the OPM email titled, "What did you do last week?" Here's another one from Kash Patel at the FBI. FBI personnel may have received an email from OPM requesting information. The FBI, through its Office of the Director, is in charge of all of our review processes and will conduct reviews in accordance with FBI procedures. When and if further
FBI said no.
Coordinate the responses. For now, please pause any responses. And finally, one more from Tulsi Gabbard for the intelligence community. Given the inherently sensitive and classified nature of our work,
the intelligence community said no
to the OPM email. If you're Elon and you're getting pushback from Kash Patel, Tulsi Gabbard, and Pete Hegseth's Department of Defense, the most partisan actors in America, then maybe, just maybe, you might have lost the plot. So yeah, I don't know, maybe it's not a great idea to have every FBI agent and intel community member list out what they're doing to a random HR email address. Maybe it's not a great idea to have every member of the military and Department of Defense reveal what they're doing to some random HR email address. Maybe if Elon had half a brain, he'd have realized that before he decided to embarrass himself by cosplaying as the Emperor of America. And if Trump had half a brain...
Nobody should be doing this, right? They have supervisors in place. There's no one just working with no boss in place. They got to report directly to Elon.
He'd step in while this idiot oligarch continues to embarrass this administration. But none of that will happen, and instead this public humiliation will continue to play itself out. Granted, Trump is not going to do any such thing at any point because he already got what he needs out of Elon in the form of $250 million to get him the presidency. And so now it's time for him to sit back and allow Elon to run the show and cash in on his side of the quid pro quo. And lest there be any doubt, no, Elon is not doing this out of some patriotic calling. And yes, Elon is deriving a direct benefit himself. Think about where Musk has spent his time with DOGE under the pretense of cutting out waste, fraud, and abuse. He started with USAID. Well, the USAID Inspector General had already initiated a probe into Starlink satellite terminals in the Russia-Ukraine war.
Oh,
that
really?
Inspector General was fired, and the investigation into Elon was shut down. Who does that benefit? Or how about the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, another early Elon target? Consumers have submitted over 300 complaints about Tesla to the CFPB.
What? Tesla was being investigated there too?
66 of these complaints were submitted in the last year. And yet, Trump fired CFPB Director Rohit Chopra, and he installed Project 2025 architect Russ Vogt as the Bureau's acting director. The CFPB's Washington headquarters was then closed, and staff and contractors were all told that they cannot perform any work tasks.
Musk tweeted, delete CFPB less than a week after the agency finalized a rule that could put his planned collaboration with Visa. So this is another big thing. He's planning on launching a financial institution thing that has to do with like crypto and X, some type of X coin, X bank, X something for a real-time payment system. And the CFPB would be all over that. Like they have to comply with like fees and schedules and service member fees and different like it's crazy, and they stay on top of all of that.
Musk himself tweeted, delete CFPB less than a week after the agency finalized a rule that could put his planned collaboration with Visa to offer a real-time payment system on the platform into the agency's crosshairs. In fact, here's Elizabeth Warren drawing that link out quite clearly.
Elon Musk, as you know, he bought Twitter, and he's just lost money hand over fist on that investment. So he's had a better idea, better from his perspective, and that is he's going to do X money. And the idea here is he's going to be everything on the financial side and social side for everybody in the country, maybe around the world, if he gets the chance. There's just one bump in the way, and that's the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. It's not that they say no. You can go ahead and build a new tech platform, a financial system. Good for you. But you've got to follow the basic rules of not cheating people, not lying to people, and not sucking up their personal data and selling it to somebody else. Yeah. He doesn't like that. So he's announced he's going to do X. What a great idea. Move the bump out of the way before you start. It's a little like a bank robber saying, well, before I go into the lobby with my sacks that I'm ready to fill up, I'm just going to fire the cops. Yeah. And now I'll go in and take the money.
So after seeing what Elon did to the CFPB, and after hearing Warren's explanation as to how the CFPB was an obstacle for him on his path to consolidating more power, again, ask yourself, who does this all benefit? Or how about the Department of Labor, which oversees the National Labor Relations Board, the NLRB, also oversees the Office of Federal Contract Compliance Programs and the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, all of which had over a dozen open investigations into Tesla and SpaceX regarding alleged unfair labor practices, safety violations, and discriminatory work practices. The NLRB filed a complaint against SpaceX after 8 employees said they were fired in retaliation for speaking critically of dear leader Musk. SpaceX sued the NLRB in response. The Office of Federal Contract Compliance Programs was conducting an audit of potential workplace discrimination.
Oh, no, not them, too.
Opportunity Compliance Program sued Tesla for alleged racial harassment.
The Department of Labor, too? How crazy. And the FAA?
And retaliation in 2023. And in response, well, Trump fired the Department of Labor Inspector General, the chair of the NLRB, blocked their ability to rule on cases, gutted the Office of Federal Contract Compliance Programs via executive order, which prevented their investigation findings about Tesla from being made public, and, for good measure, fired 2 of the 3 Democratic commissioners on the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. Ask yourself, once again, who does that all benefit? And that's just the tip of the iceberg. The EPA had multiple lawsuits against Tesla over violations of the Clean Air Act and hazardous waste laws at the company's automotive manufacturing plant in Fremont, California. Trump fired the Inspector General. The FEC was set to set a rule on the number of complaints filed during the 2024 election cycle, including complaints regarding Musk's America PAC. So Trump literally removed the FEC chair from her post. The Department of the Interior.
You realize he was giving away millions of dollars to entice people to vote for Trump.
Which runs the Fish and Wildlife Services, which Musk has repeatedly clashed with, called their review process unacceptable. Trump fired the DOI Inspector General. The DOJ filed a lawsuit in 2023 against SpaceX for allegedly engaging in hiring discrimination and investigations into whether Tesla had been candid in describing the features of its vehicles. Trump has since remade the DOJ in his image. The SEC sued Twitter in January, alleging that Musk misled shareholders about his Twitter stock purchases in 2022 and ordered Musk to pay the federal government as much as $150 million. Musk called that agency a totally broken organization in response to the lawsuit. Trump has since pushed out the SEC chair, leaving the agency with a Republican majority. There are a staggering 12 agencies where Elon has a conflict. 12 agencies where either he or Trump have kneecapped their ability to continue investigating him or levying fines on him. So when it comes to government waste, look, I am all for rooting it out. But when you're doing it in a way that is compromising our national security, when you're doing it in a way that's putting the intelligence community at risk, when you're doing it in a way that jeopardizes our military, when you're doing it in a way that just so happens to benefit you, then excuse me if I'm not sold on the virtue of this plan. Which, by the way, is to say nothing of the fact that I happen to be adamantly opposed to the notion of the world's richest man cutting Medicaid, firing veterans from the VA, ending cancer research, and stripping away education.
And firing the inspector generals. All those inspector generals should have been a huge red flag for anybody who claims they want to be about transparency and oversight and, no waste, fraud, and abuse. That's their jobs. That's what they do.
Funding. But hey, remember, if Elon actually did care about any of those things, don't forget that he's personally got the money to have solved all of them on his own. But he didn't and hasn't, because his priority isn't people, it is consolidating more power, more influence, and more money for himself. Do not listen to what Trump and Elon say. Watch what they do, because they're putting on full display exactly who they're working for. And it's not you or me or even the Republican base. It is themselves. Before you go, just a quick note, if you'd like to see more of my content, which is always free of advertising, sponsorships, and paywalls, please make sure to subscribe.
And the last thing I'll leave you with was this image I thought was pretty good. Let's see. Can I find it? I used it for one of my posts. I think it was a post about the, yeah. This is what MAGA looks like now. The billionaire definitely loves me. I don't know if you've ever been in a strip club. If you've ever been in a fucking strip club with these fucking losers that think the stripper's always in love with them because they're paying them fucking money. The billionaire definitely loves me. He wants to get married. He said he's going to protect me. He's going to send me a check. He's definitely looking out for me. Definitely looking out for me. All right, guys. It's 1 a.m. here. thank you all for joining us. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. When you see these outlandish claims of how much money they've saved, just look into it. Everyone that I pulled up has either already been a paid out contract, was a fucking lie. I saw them print the same one 3 times in their total. Their running total they had. They're inflating them by orders of magnitude. Like I put the one where they lied about the 8 billion versus 8 million, and someone's like, "Oh, that's probably just pocket change to you. Why didn't you just pay it?" So because I don't have $8 billion, I can't say it's wrong to say this contract cost $8 billion when it actually cost $8 million. The fuck is wrong with these people? Look into them. I think that everything they're doing is just to keep the crowd cheering. They have to keep up this pace of we've exposed this and we've exposed this and here's a Festivus report from here and there and then, right? They have to keep this pace going to keep the momentum behind them. So people are just blindsided by so much shit they think something good's going on. I don't know. It's wild. Consider supporting the show. Tough time of the year right now, right after the holidays. And what do you know? I'm waiting on a VA raider that probably got laid off by Elon Musk. So who knows how long that's going to take. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for being here. Thanks for hanging out with me. We'll see you on the next one. If you want to support the show, go to coldbeer.fund, coldbeer.fund, where you make a contribution to keep it going. Thank you guys. Have a good night. Love you. See you. Bye.
But I can tell you this about if this douchebag happens to see this particular show, you don't have the forking balls to call out the people on this planet by name and tell them exactly who they are and tell them the rest of the world who they are. You don't have the forking balls. You don't have the balls.
Okay, Scott.
Here we go. I think I started some shit. Listen off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best. You know that stage is set.
I might let Elon knock me up. Yeah, the child support would be insane, right? Even split 15 ways or whatever. Do not email hr@opm.gov. Don't do it. Don't!
And they say that I'm a lunatic. Well, listen, bitch, I came equipped with a quick wit and a 6th sense for the stupid shit. Where my true believer? Y'all need Jesus.
I used to be a Trump supporter. I'm kind of embarrassed about it, but I used to be a Trump supporter. Now I can't stand anything he fucking does. There's just so many lies.
To the shaft, eating this chest like he's King Kong. Starving for attention, I'ma make your gut burst. I'll be your huckleberry, I can quench that thirst. Baby eating lizard people, alien sex. What's next? Trump in a dress, fucking Flynn on his desk. A retard in a vest, climbing up 5G towers. Cause you told him if he did, he'd get fucking superpowers. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Listen off, it's about to get.
My claim has been with the VA for a long ass fucking time. And it just finally got moved to like ready for the raider. But I heard a bunch of them fucking got a bunch of the raiders got laid off, so we'll see. I already have service-connected disability. I'm trying to get the rating that I deserve because the first time I was like so embarrassed about it and fucking, I don't know, I went in there and lied. I was like, I'm fine, you know, blah, 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 and they still could tell I was crazy. This time I was honest about it, so we'll see.
And saluted the troops. He tapped me on the shoulder and said, "This is gonna be it." Whoa. Stop. What? I'll get my files. Wait, what are you doing? Stop. Hold on. Fucking stop. Dude, come on. Seriously. My mom's an alcoholic. Oh, give me oh my God. Damn it. Here we go, I think I started some shit.
Have a good night, guys.
It's about to get lit. Get the place in the best.
Don't take it too seriously. I'm having Elon Musk's baby, so.
You ain't seen none yet.
William St. Clair. Got a good